Hello, and welcome to year 2 of my playthrough of Stardew Valley, where I can't buy seeds with gold. But first, a quick disclaimer, because I saw a lot of this on my last video. I am not a min-max player, I'm not a professional, I'm a casual player who wanted to do a casual challenge run. I make mistakes, and I think that's funny. You have to laugh at your own pain sometimes. If you don't like suboptimal gameplay, there are plenty of other Stardew channels out there for that kind of content. I'm just some schmo who likes to play Stardew, and laugh at my own downfalls, because honestly, drama is better than perfect playing, in my humble opinion. Also, a quick refresher on the rules of the challenge. Number 1, I cannot buy seeds for gold. This includes tea saplings, tree saplings, and anything that says seed in the description of the item. 2, I can buy fully grown crops from the traveling cart or anywhere else, and this is the main way for me to get seeds that I can't get from mixed seeds. Number 3, there are 2 seed exceptions for progression. I can buy rare seeds, because as of 1.6, you can no longer buy fully grown sweet gem berries from the traveling cart. And I bought a single coffee bean in year 1, and since that's mostly for energy and speed, I allowed that. And number 4, I can get seeds for anything other than gold, so calico eggs, for example, can be traded for seeds. Also, another quick thing, if I ever accidentally buy seeds, which does happen, I will need to throw those seeds out with my trash can, which means I can never upgrade my trash can. But without further ado, let's get into it. Ah yes, spring once again. On day 113, I did the normal spring things, like clearing out my crop and field, getting more hay for my animals, and mix seeds for my field. While tending to my animals, I got a gold star duck feather, which will be very helpful for later. But most importantly, I finally got to plant all of the spring seeds I've been saving from the traveling cart produce that I bought throughout the last year. I put Spreed Grow down and quality fertilizer to hopefully get more progress done with the quality crops bundle. I planted my ancient fruit seed, my coffee, carrot seeds, mixed flower seeds, and I also extended my crop field by crafting more quality sprinklers to plant cauliflower seeds, garlic seeds, my 1 kale seed, and more mixed flower seeds. After I went to bed, my cow Fur gave birth to a baby who I named Laurel. The next day, Pierre told me he was selling new fertilizers in his shop, which was actually useful for me, thanks Pierre. I collected the pickled winter root from last year and the powder melon jelly. After that, I went to Cindersap for materials and forage, saying hello to Leah by the river, and then heading to the secret woods for hardwood. I then went home, putting my items away, and headed to bed early. On day 115, I harvested the first carrots of the year, did my usual animal chores, and collected some purple mushrooms from my mushroom logs. I turned some of those carrots back into seeds, and that is going to be a very common part of my routine going on. I then went to Clint's to open geodes, getting a dwarf gadget, a tiger's eye, coal, clay, and granite, then donated the tiger's eye to the museum. I then went home and smelted some gold bars, also organizing my shed chests. After that, I sold my animal products and hit the hay. Day 116 was a rainy day, and there were a lot of crops ready, including 2 gold star parsnips. As usual, I went to do shed activities, which will be another common routine, including smelting the rest of my gold ore into bars, and turning crops back into seeds. I then went into town to get more fiber, then going to Pierre's to finally buy the second backpack upgrade, and bought the grass starter crafting recipe. I then went to bed early. Today, on day 117, it was a very good luck day. I got some wild honey for my bee houses, more gold star parsnips, as well as my first harvested garlic, and I turned potatoes into more seeds. But it's Friday, and you know what that means, it's traveling cart day. But she had nothing good, no crops, and only seeds. What the heck, traveling cart lady? Don't you know it's a good luck day? I guess I'll have to make my own seeds, typical. But the good news is, I get to donate 5 gold star parsnips to the community center finally. On my way back home, I got more fiber and items around town. I turned the extra gold star parsnips back into seeds, sold stuff, and went to bed. It rained again on day 18, and in the mail, Emily asked me for an apricot. While walking around on my farm, I found an owl statue, which I put next to the future greenhouse. After doing my normal chores and smelting some refined quartz, I headed to bed. Day 119 started off with a large crop harvest. In my shed, I collected the plum wine and refined quartz. I made a portion of my crops back into seeds, specifically the kale, replanted my field, and sold the extra produce. It's also traveling cart day again, but she didn't have anything good either. Boo. On day 120, I got my first coffee bean harvest of the year, along with some blue jazz flowers. I also got some pickled parsnips from my shed, checked the look, and it was bad, and went right back to bed. The next day, on day 121, it was a rainy day. Robin gave me some wood in the mail, I got some tulip honey, and harvested more garlic and parsnips. I then went into my shed to dehydrate extra fruit, put crops into the seed maker, replanted my field, and called it an early night. On day 122, there were a lot of crops ready for harvest, including more coffee. I took those beans and put them back into the field for even more caffeine later. I then started putting my extra mushrooms into the hydrators, continuing the shed activities by turning extra crops back into seeds. And while doing my coop and barn chores, I gained a farming level while petting my animals, gaining level 9 farming overnight. On day 123, I collected my dehydrated mushrooms and started making more of them. While in the shed, I made 2 more seed makers to increase the speed of seed production. Noticing my coop could hold more chickens, I incubated a large white egg in my coop, and called it an early day. Day 124 was a rainy day, and Lewis reminded me in the mail that the egg festival is tomorrow. Very rude of him, considering I can't buy seeds, and strawberry seeds are some of the best ones. It's also a traveling cart day, but once again, it was a flop. I swear she only has the best stuff during the night market. On day 125, I checked the bundles from the community center to see what I needed for the greenhouse bundles, and I'm still missing 5 quality crops, a green bean, and a blueberry. Instead of going to the egg festival, I checked my farm cave and got some fruit from the bats graciously gave to me. After that, I went to bed, as there's not much you can do on festival days. On day 126, I harvested my first rhubarb, went into the shed and got my wine, and turned that rhubarb right back into seeds. Today was another traveling cart day, and she had a radish, which I also turned into seeds when I got home, getting 2 seeds to the price of 1 radish. After turning more crops back into seeds, I finally planted my peach sapling, though I was eventually going to have to move it into the greenhouse. I then sold my animal products and called it a day. The next day was a rainy day and a lucky day. I went to the bus stop and foraged more moss, then going into town and taking Robin's resource rush quest. After that, I realized I had enough gold to finish the vault bundles, so I went to the community center to pay off those, and finally unlocked the bus to the desert. I also donated a purple mushroom to the research bundle while I was there. I then remembered I still needed to get the skull key, so I headed to the mines, going straight to floor 100 to hopefully get that before the bus was fixed overnight. But, in my rush, I realized I had entirely too much stuff in my backpack, so I took the mine carts home to put that junk in my trunk into my chests. I also placed my new crystallarium into my shed, then gathering my stuff for my mines run. Back in the mines, I got a lot of early ladders thanks to the good luck day, and I got a diamond on floor 109, making it down to 110 just before 9 p.m. While I'm here, I'm also working on Robin's resource rush for stone as I go further down the mines. I made it to floor 115 at 11 p.m., got some jade on floor 116, and got to floor 118 at midnight. I was cutting it very close, but damn it, I wanted that skull key. Unfortunately, floor 119 was my downfall, and I had to leave the mines at 1 a.m., barely making it to bed. Now that the bus was in commission, I could go to the Desert Festival, so it didn't even matter that I didn't get down to 120 last night. Not that I would realize that right away. I stupidly went into town to crack geodes and figured out that the festival was open, but even more stupidly forgot that you don't even need the skull key to participate in the festival. So I went to the quarry instead, and at least leveled up in mining despite my blunder. I did some pumpkin pie, and I ended up clearing out the entire quarry. I was still hungry for ore and stone, so I went to the mines, collecting calico eggs even though I wasn't at the festival. Those will be very useful for later. I made it down to floor 120, got the skull key, and went to bed. I got up to level 8 mining overnight. On day 129, I did my usual chores, harvesting crops, putting stuff in my shed, and of course tending to my animals. I then got my stuff ready for the desert, and I was going to the festival this time. Once I got there, I got some rumpled fruit skin from the chef, and took the deep dive quest from Gil. My Yeti tooth was not doing the best in Skull Caverns, but I kept going onward. On floor 6, I got a burger shirt, got a shaft on floor 8, which took me down to floor 11. Another shaft on floor 11 got me down to 19, but my luck ran out on floor 20, which was the dreaded spiral floor. I took some time to craft bombs to help me get further down in the caverns. I also got my first calico egg node. Floor 21 had a shaft that took me down to floor 29. Once I got to floor 30, I remembered I was still doing Robert's research rush for stone, so I went after stone more intentionally. Once I left the caverns, I got an egg rating of 8, which isn't that impressive, but I still got calico eggs, which is a currency that isn't gold, so I went to the merchants to see what I could get. Haley and Leah were there, but I didn't get anything from their shops. I did, however, let Emily give me a makeover, and I think she knows I'm a farmer. No particular reason or anything. I then went to the trader and got mystery boxes, then realizing I could have gotten strawberry seeds with the calico eggs, and I didn't have enough left. But mark my words, I'm gonna get them straws. I then went home, putting my spoils into my shed, and prepared for the next festival day tomorrow. I was pretty productive before the festival today, doing my usual chores, but also rearranging the shed chests, smelting ore into bars, and even crafted some more tappers for my tree farm. While waiting for felt like forever for Pam to get to the bus, I also gathered some salmon berries by the bus stop and put them into my dehydrator for more energy later. And finally, it's time to get some calico eggs. Thankfully, this time I brought my obsidian edge, which did so much better than my older weapon. Here's hoping I can get a dang prismatic shard soon, so I can get the actual good sword. I got lucky with an early shaft on floor 2, getting me down to floor 8. And you must be wondering at this point, why isn't he using staircases? Well, as Mr. Key says, staircases aren't honorable and are cheating. Well, it's mostly that I'm there for the thrill of seeing what I can raw dog in the caverns. I will be using staircases in the future. Floor 8 had a swarm of serpents trying to eat me, and I barely found a ladder to survive. On floor 9, I was halfway done with Robin's resource quest. Unfortunately, I had to leave the caverns with yellow health, absolutely ravishing the desert of anything edible, and shoving cactus fruit down my gullet. Back in we go. Floor 3 was a spiral floor, but Yoba smiled upon me with a shaft that got me down 13 floors. But I could only be so lucky as a serpent made me his snack. I lost 3 items from my backpack and 1,000 gold. I felt defeated and decided to just go to bed. The next day, I got a letter in the mail from Mr. Key, challenging me to get past floor 25 in the Skull Caverns. After doing my normal shed activities, I tended to my animals after ignoring them for the last 2 days. My new chick hatched in the coop, and I named her Daisy. Oh yeah, it's also traveling cart day, but alas, she has nothing good. I remembered that I had the crystallarium in my shed, and put a jade in there for future staircase acquisition. I also smelted some gold bars, and called it a day. There are only 2 days left for Robin's resource rush, and I was at 678 of 1,000 stone. I better hurry up and get more of that. And thankfully, it was also a good luck day. I also had a lot of coffee piling up and was working on getting more gold bars to upgrade my tools and crafting important objects. While waiting for the bus, I made crops into seeds and refilled my field. I gathered all the essentials for a Skull Cavern dive: bombs, gold star cheese, and dried fruit for efficient energy. Diving down, floor 1 was flooded with serpents, but I was ready and fought hard. On floor 3, I got a level up in combat, bombing out the floor for ore and stone, including iridium ore and a diamond. On floor 6, I found a shaft that took me down to floor 12. I was now at 802 stone for the quest. I feel confident that I can get it done in time. Floor 14 was spiral floor, but I got an early ladder and took it down. I spent time crafting more bombs to compensate for my steel pickaxe not being that great. Floor 16 had a lot of ore nodes and crates. 17 was an infested floor, but thankfully my spicy eel saved my ass. I fought for my life against the slime swarm, but decided to leave while I was still ahead. For my valiant efforts, I got level 7 combat overnight. Pierre dared to ask me for sashimi in the mail today, greedy man. I put my haul from yesterday away, getting my first jade from my crystallarium and some orange wine. I did my regular farm chore routine, adding another duck feather to my collections of gifts for a certain gentleman. I spent time to craft more tappers for my tree farm because you best believe I want a keg empire as soon as possible. Once again, it's time for our favorite bi-weekly event, Traveling Cart Day, and she finally delivered. Today I got corn, a pumpkin, a lucky lunch, an iridium ore. I could kiss her, but I'd ask her nicely first, of course. I took my prizes home, making the corn and pumpkin into seeds, and began smelting iridium bars. And, now that I had an empty keg, I started my coffee supply. I then went to the quarry to clear out that stone, ore, and wood. Sadly, it wasn't enough to finish Robin's quest, so I had to go to the mines for more stone. Starting on floor 15, I crafted cherry bombs to clear out the stone faster. I will be on floor 15 of the mines a lot for the chance of mixed seeds and fiber. I got to 963 stone on the final day at 7 p.m., completing the resource rush at 8:20 p.m., and headed home. I then put things away in my shed, collecting my coffee and brewing even more. I woke up on day 134 and checked the luck, and oh boy, it was not good. Very not good, in fact. Well, the luck aside, I got my first ancient fruit harvest today, which is huge. I got pickled parsnips, coffee, and iridium bars in my shed, and turned my ancient fruit back into seed. I immediately planted it to hopefully amass more ancient fruit seeds. And Robin sent me the stone chest recipe in the mail for completing her quest. She really is the best. You keep whatever you gather, she pays you, and you get a recipe. Truly the GOAT. I put parsnips and potatoes into my seed makers, while also making as much coffee as I could get my grubby gremlin hands on. Once the shop opened, I took my geodes and mystery boxes over to Clint to open them, getting a haul of mixed seeds, hardwood, crab cakes, deluxe speed grow, triple shot espresso, a book of mysteries, a mountain warp totem, minerals, stone, coal, a dwarf gadget, and copper ore. I read the book of mysteries and went to the museum to donate whatever I could. I got 2 rewards, the obsidian vase and a bear statue. After that, I took my spoils home, including a whopping 30 mixed seeds. I made off like a bandit. While in town, I picked up my prize ticket, also taking Willie's juicy bug guts quest. Apparently I hadn't been to Lewis's house yet, and got the cutscene explaining the prize machine. I told Lewis I just wanted to help, but man, the prizes are a cherry on top. I went home, swapping my old bed for the new one, and flopped into it. I got the Homesteader achievement for earning 25k, and Lewis reminded me of the flower dance in the mail. I crafted a 4th seed maker for more seed making efficiency. And while making more seeds more efficiently, one of my carrots turned into an ancient seed, which I ran out to plant. While tending my coop, my duck feather collection grew 1 gold star feather more. After that, I checked my tree farm, impatiently waiting for those tappers to work, but at least the logs had fungus to harvest. I then headed to the mines for Willie's Bug Guts quest, starting on floor 25. While hoeing around, I dug up a dwarvish helm, and gathered 19 bug meat, heading home after that. Today was a pretty low-energy day on the farm. I collected more coffee, carrots, and spring forage. It was a flower dance, but once again, I don't really care. I did the rest of my usual chores, and went to bed at 10:40 a.m. My sleep deficit needed to be balanced at some point. I woke up on day 137 to some honey, which was pretty sweet. I also got cauliflowers, coffee, and carrots. My pickled parsnips were ready in my shed, and more importantly, I finally got oak resin for my tree farm. I immediately crafted 3 more kegs and got the coffee brewing. And as a nice little bonus, my farm cave bore a lot of fruit. Today the spirits were very happy, which is always good news. I harvested a tulip and garlic, turning those back into seeds for later. I also got my first pine tar for my tree farm. Oh, and it's Traveling Cart Day, scoring a fairy rose. She also had a lot of fish. I made the fairy rose and other extra crops into seeds. And, because I have a really great memory, I forgot about the good luck day and went to bed. The next day was very exciting, and by that I mean not at all. All I did was harvest a blue jazz, turn that blue jazz into a seed, make more coffee, I collected my daily jade, and went to sleep. Spring is almost over, and I got a big last harvest of rhubarbs, carrots, and parsnips. I made more seeds for next year, or later if I get the greenhouse anytime soon, and I refilled my field with extra seeds so I don't have to bother to fix it tomorrow in summer. My tree farm also blessed me with another oak resin, which will help my dreams of my future kegpire. Ah, summer, the best season, don't fight me. Write your favorite season in Stardew in the comments though, I'm interested. As usual, I cleared and replanted my field with summer crops. Thankfully, my coffee was still there, and an ancient fruit and wild honey. I planted all of my mixed seeds and turned the ancient fruit into 2 seeds. I went into Cindersap to pillage and gather materials, continuing my fiber hunt into town and up to the train tracks. I then went back to my farm and also planted hop starters, hot peppers, tomatoes, and a melon seed. I then put the wild honey into a keg to make mead for the shipping collection. I collected my mead the next day and continued to make more coffee. I got a rusty spur from an artifact spot, got some maple syrup from my tree farm, and donated the rusty spur to the museum. After that, I spent the rest of my day clearing the quarry of materials, getting level 9 in mining. Today was pretty uneventful. I turned forage grapes into grape starters with my seed makers. I also checked my tree farm and more trees had grown in, so I slapped tappers on them. Today was 2 things that I really like, Stormy and Good Luck. My tree farm was feeding my oak resin addiction, and I can't get enough. While petting my coop animals, I gained a farming level, which was really cool of them, honestly. I grabbed stone and wood to upgrade my barn to a deluxe barn, getting that going. I also donated an oak resin to the Enchanter's Bundle, and went to bed early, getting level 10 farming overnight, and chose the coop master profession for now, as I make the most of my gold for my animals at this point. The Green Rain Day came early this year, which is really good for this challenge. I got my first battery pack, harvested wheat and planted melon, starfruit, squash, and tomatoes with fertilizer. Marnie told me about the auto grabber in a letter, which I will be absolutely getting later on. Another tree grew on my tree farm, so you know it, I slapped a tapper on it. I then spent the whole day foraging in the Green Rain, getting tons of moss fiber, mixed seeds, and all of that glorious loot. The next day, Demetrius sent me a request for a pufferfish in the mail. I did my usual thing, making some hot pepper jelly, and noticed another tree grew on my farm. Very nice. I went into my shed to craft a bunch of stuff, including a bee house, a keg, cheese presses, mail machines, seed makers, and tappers. I then headed out for some foraging, starting at the bus stop, chopping down trees, and continuing on to ravage the quarry. Today I harvested my first radishes, then putting down fertilizer and mixed seeds to refill my field. I also got an ancient seed while making seeds for my other crops. And it's a Sunday, so that means traveling cart. She had a tea sapling in stock, but that counts as a seed, so alas I can't get it, but she did have a melon and some deluxe speed grow, which I snatched up. I then went over to Marnie's and finally got the animal catalog and an auto grabber. I went home with turning my purchased melon into seeds and put the auto grabber in the barn. No more manual milking, thank goodness. I then went out once again for my conquest of wood, especially after yesterday's crafting session. While I was wandering around, I gave Harvey, Demetrius, and Linus some coffee as a consolation prize for mostly ignoring them. I chopped down my grown-in mahogany trees at the railroad, along with the other trees there, making sure to replant with tree seeds for later. Good news for me, today is a stormy day. But the bad news is it's a bad luck day. But man, am I glad I got that auto grabber. Having to manually milk my cows and goats every day was very tedious. And another piece of good news is my final tree for my tree farm grew in, and I slapped a tapper on it. I then did regular shed activities, making orange wine, and keeping one keg open for coffee. I haven't mentioned it much, but I've also been using the dehydrator for extra fruit and mushrooms. I smelted some metal bars and called it an early day. And once again, we get another stormy day with bad luck. It seems weird that it happened twice in a row like that, but that also means I'm getting more battery packs, so I can't complain. I also got honey and grown-in crops. I replaced empty crop spaces with the melon seeds I got from the traveling cart melon, hoping we'll get those quality ones for the community center. Jelly was ready in my shed, and I chucked more hot peppers into my preserves jars. I was heavily multitasking in my shed, smelting bars, making extra crops into seeds, and brewing more coffee. I'm gonna need a lot of that for Skull Caverns and eventually Ginger Island. When I checked my coop, a new chick hatched that I named Fern. And I got so many duck feathers at this point that I started selling the low-quality ones. Gotta keep the good ones for my man Elliot. I crafted 2 more furnaces for my shed to keep making bars. The sun finally returned to the valley, and it's the day before the luau. I collected some poppy honey and another battery pack. Also, another thing I'm not mentioning, but I'm up to 14 jade for my crystallarium and other sources like my trips to the quarry and the mines. I gathered some wood and went to Robin's to commission a coop upgrade, but Demetrius was so rude and decided to block the door. Come on, buddy, I'm giving your wife business. That means you get to benefit from it too. While I was there, I gifted Robin and Maro some coffee, and I lucked out as it was Maro's birthday. I then went back to wreak havoc on the natural resources of the valley, gaining a foraging level while I chopped down every tree in sight. I continued to gather wood and cinder sap, and of course took advantage of the stumps in the secret woods for more hardwood. I gained level 9 foraging overnight. Today was a neutral luck day, which I would certainly take over bad. My tree farm was bursting with items to collect, including a lot of mushrooms from my mushroom logs. I gathered my geodes and mystery boxes to take to Clint, but then remembered, damn it, it's the luau today. I went home and decided to rearrange my shed chests instead. Today had a large harvest of hot peppers and coffee, as well as some hops. I crafted more preserves jars and mushroom logs for my tree farm. I then finally took my geodes and mystery boxes to Clint to open, getting mixed seeds, a mountain warp totem, iron ore, copper ore, stone, and minerals. And it's time for the cart, and all I got was quality fertilizer. You're not gonna guess the weather and luck today. That's right, stormy and bad. I had a melon ready for harvest, but unfortunately it was regular quality, so I turned it into 2 seeds, which is actually great for a bad luck day. And, on the roll of good luck on a bad day, my deluxe coop was ready, and absolutely filled with eggs. Whoops. I crafted more kegs to start maximizing my coffee production before I get good enough fruit for wine production. While making coffee, I used one of my kegs for some hops to make pale ale. The next day, I collected another battery pack and some honey. I also put more hops into my kegs for more pale ale. I went over to check the traveling cart and she had a lot of food, and I guess I was hungry because I bought a bunch of it. I then went home to check the luck, and it's a good luck day. I also learned maple bars recipe from the Queen of Sauce. Going into town with my fishing rod, I decided to work on that skill. And while I was in town, I picked up the tomato crop order quest. It seemed like the most reasonable version of that quest because tomatoes don't have to be replanted. I then went down to the beach saying hi to Sam. I foraged coral and rainbow shells and also said hello to my boo Elliot. I fished on the pier by Willie's shop, catching a tuna and a halibut for the first time, as well as my first sea jelly. On my way to the community center, I also said hi to Leanne and Clint, donating my tuna to the Ocean Fish Bundle. Back in my shed, I got jellies, wine, and gold bars, and put away my fishing haul. I sold my fish and tomatoes, and went to bed. The next day, I had a harvest of corn, coffee, hops, hot peppers, and a couple ancient fruits. I got the pale ale from my shed, then making ancient fruit back into seeds, refilling empty kegs with more hops, and putting hot peppers into preserves jars. My peach tree is now fully grown, so I got a peach. Kent sent me a letter in the mail asking for a starfruit. We'll see how that goes. My mushroom logs had a lot of mushrooms to grab too. I then went to Marnie's to get some animals, a new rabbit named Plum, and a pig named Portobello. Pale ale and dried chanterelles were ready in my shed today. I then went to check on my animals, especially to pet my new pig and rabbit for the friendship points. Back in my shed, I crafted 3 new iridium sprinklers and cleared even more space on my farm for crops. I went to Pierre's to buy 100 deluxe speed grow, planted whatever seeds I could, and then replaced my kegs with hops and extra fruit. I was so excited to see more melons grown in, but sadly only one of them was a gold star melon. It's looking like pumpkins are gonna have to be the other gold star crop for the quality crops bundle. I turned those mediocre melons back into seeds, and also replanted radish seeds. Today was another exciting harvest, getting my fully grown starfruit. I made some of the starfruit back into seeds, and saved a few in my gift chest. After I went to bed, something crashed on my farm. I harvested my wheat, which is very nice for essentially free hay and other things. After that, I went out foraging at the bus stop and around town. I donated some of my wheat harvest to the fodder bundle and completing it, getting a free heater. I then turned my extra wheat back into seeds, scoring a bonus ancient seed as well. And it's bi-weekly traveling cart time, and she had bok choy, hops, and a seafoam pudding. You did good this time, traveling cart lady. After making my bot crops into seeds, harvesting my cave and mushroom logs, I added another scarecrow by my second crop field. Today was pretty uneventful, so I'll speed round it. I did my usual harvest, and turning said harvest into seeds, got some maple syrup, and donated it to the community center, and on the way I ran into Pam, and she accused me of saying her yard looks terrible, which I just plain did not. Mayor Lewis sent me a letter today asking for truffle oil, and not to say why he wants it. Sir, I really didn't need to think about that this early in the morning. It's also the final melon harvest, and I only got a piddly one more gold star melon. While checking on my coop, my rabbit made her first wool, and I shipped it to the shipping collection. And, once again, the traveling cart comes in clutch. She had an amaranth, let's go! I immediately went home and slapped that baby into the seed maker for next season. I woke up to the beautiful sight of more ancient fruit to harvest, and I officially have more types of seeds than a normal chest can hold. My dog Millie gave me an arrowhead artifact because she's a good girl, and I love her. On my way to donate that, I got an acorn from the trash. I'm not as much of a trash-checking gremlin as I should be. I would love the garbage hat someday. I got the raccoon rarecrow as a prize for donating enough artifacts, and put it by my second crop field for more coverage. I then crafted an oil maker for my barn, a loom for my coop, and spring seeds for later. After that, I went to Marnie's to get an auto grabber for my coop, and a second rabbit named Jasmine. I went into my shed and all of my kegs were ready with wines and pale ale. I've also amassed 15 ancient fruit seeds. I can smell my future ancient fruit empire already. My tree farm also had pine tar and mushrooms ready for me, and a new chick hatched in my coop that I named Orchid. The most exciting thing that happened today on 164 was my jelly was ready. I speed ran my usual chores and went back to bed. Okay, so I suppose I lied earlier. I had 2 more melons for harvest, and neither one was a gold star melon. That hurts even more, man. Not even a bonus melon could save me. Well, at least Portobello my pig is an adult now, so I can start getting truffles. And, thankfully, my tree farm had a lot of oak resin for my keg addiction. I'm gonna be real with you, today kinda sucked eggs. It was stormy, I got some cloth for my loom, and the traveling cart had nothing of interest. And right on cue, Emily came to my farm the next day talking about the cloth I got, and that I can now use her sewing machine. Really cool of her, honestly, almost makes up for yesterday. I then gathered all of my fall seeds and put them into a second chest to prepare for the changing of seasons coming up. I got my first truffle from Portobello, selling all of my animal products and seeing the sweet, sweet gold from that truffle. Demetrius reminded me about the Moonlight Jellies Festival tonight, but frankly, I'm too busy being lame and grinding to stop for that. I promise I will eventually do festivals and stuff, but not this year. My final harvest of the summer was mainly a lot of wheat and hay, which is fine with me. The best part about wheat for me is turning a ton of it back into seeds, and that also gives me the chance for mixed seeds and ancient seeds. I replanted my fields with pepper seeds as I had a ton of them, and I didn't want to fix my field too much tomorrow. Traveling Cart Lady finally delivered with a blueberry! Let's go! I also bought a shrimp and some food she was selling. I donated the blueberry to the Summer Crops Bundle, finally completing it, and I got a free quality sprinkler. I harvested my summer flowers near my bee houses, replaced the normal sprinkler with my new quality one, planted more sunflower seeds. I made the summer flowers into seeds as well. I cleared my fields of dead crops and cleaned up my fields. While I was at it, I had a ton of corn stalks and really didn't need that many, so I got rid of a few of them for more spaces for new crops. I crafted more deluxe speed grow and drenched my pumpkins in quality fertilizer. You better not mess with me like the melons did, I swear. I also planted my rare seed with speed grow and my other fall seeds. Also, side note, I struggled so hard to plant trellis crops with my controller, and watching it back, I should have used the left stick to place them, but hindsight is a jerk. I then went to buy one of the very few things I can from Pierre, tons more quality fertilizer and deluxe speed grow. After that, I went back to my farm and planted the rest of my fields with mixed seeds, sunflower seeds, and wheat seeds. When checking my tree farm, my tappers had maple syrup and pine tar, and my mushroom logs were bountiful. I then checked my shed and replaced my preserves jars with leftover summer squash and collected the hot pepper jelly. And now, my friends, it's time to once again ruin the local ecosystem by cutting down every tree in my sight. While foraging through the usual areas, I got broccoli seeds from a seed spot and a Jack Be Nimble, Jack Be Thick book from an artifact spot. I saw Haley and went to say hi, and she said I smelled weird, which was very rude of her. I then went home and put my junk in my chests, selling my animal products and turning in for the night. Speaking of things that happened overnight, I found the strange capsule on my farm. I didn't have much to do farming-wise, so I went to town to say hello to the people of Pelican Town. I also gave Kent a starfruit for his quest, and donated a truffle to the chef bundle. I also had Clint open a mystery box and a geode, getting a mountain warp totem and 10 copper ore. Once back home, I made my extra starfruit from my gift chest into seeds for later. Today I had another huge wheat harvest, which is good news for my animals not starving over the winter. Peach wine was ready in my shed today, and while there, I made my freshly harvested wheat right back into seeds. I replanted my fields, including the broccoli seeds I got earlier. I did my usual animal chars, and even got some more oak resin for my tree farm. The next day, my pickled summer squash was ready in my shed, so I put more summer squash back into my preserves jars. My tree farm had some pine tar, and I got another iridium quality duck feather from my coop for my beloved. The traveling cart lady had a fairy rose, which I took right into my shed and turned into seeds. I got a letter from my man Gus asking for a lobster in the mail, and that's an offer I can't refuse. Honestly, I would love Gus as a bachelor, he's such a sweetheart. I then harvested my crops, including my first amaranth. So I didn't make sure my fairy rose from yesterday turned into seeds properly, and I went into my shed to see my seed maker with mixed seeds. I cautiously put my amaranth into the seed maker, and thankfully that worked as hoped. And as I tend to do a lot of for some reason, I reorganized my chests again. I swear it's a minor compulsion of mine, I love me some organizing. While in my shed, my pale ale was ready, so I replaced the kegs with more hops. I then turned the final hops left into more starters for later. Oh, and don't worry, I saved one piece of amaranth for Marnie for that quest. While wandering my farm, I saw a meteor chilling on the far side. I'm definitely working on upgrading my tools anyway, but I really want to get the goodies from that meteor later. I also started a cloth supply in my gift chest because I'm gonna have more than I'll really need soon. Today is the most bountiful harvest of the season so far. Lots of wheat, eggplants, broccoli, and artichokes. And as usual, I went to check on the traveling cart and was heartbroken to only see seeds for sale. Oh well, I can make my own seeds with my own crops. Take that, traveling cart lady. Oh, but we're not done with bountiful harvests yet. It's ancient fruit time, baby! I also had pale ale and pickles ready in the shed, putting hot peppers into my preserves jars, and going back on the grind of making coffee in my kegs. My farmer is going to need an IV drip of triple shot espressos very soon. Oh, and the capsule was empty. Spooky. While checking my coop, I got my first rabbit's foot. I'm not even going to go into how rabbits keep dropping feet and get them back. That's too much to get into now. But they are very good for friendships, as most people Penny have them as a loved gift. After that, I went foraging, hitting up the secret woods for hardwood, cindersap for regular wood, and other forage. I sold my animal products and went to Snooze Town. Lewis reminded me that the Stardew fair was coming, but I am once again so very uncool and lame and reject socializing. I started my day by making coffee and seeds in my shed. After making a few rounds of coffee, I put ancient fruit and cranberries into my kegs for some better profits. I feel like the witch could smell my antisocial energy and cursed my coop overnight. Joke's on her though, I love void chickens. Nothing really exciting happened today. I did a normal routine, so let's just move on, shall we? The next day, I collected the hot pepper jelly from my shed and turned corn back into seeds. I finally got the void egg from my coop and stuck that right into the incubator for an adorable little void chick later. Unfortunately, it was a bad luck day today. After tending to my crops, I went to check the traveling cart. She mostly had seeds, but at least I got a spicy eel out of it. And I guess it had been a while since I checked my farm cave, because it was exploding with free fruit. I spent the rest of the day smelting copper bars. My first pumpkin had grown in, but of course it wasn't a gold star pumpkin. My day is ruined, and my disappointment is immeasurable. Oh well, I can always make that disappointment back into seeds, along with other extra crops. In better news, I got lots of artichokes and bok choy. I then sold my animal products and went to bed. Oh god, it's finally happening! Gold Star Pumpkins! I sprinted to the community center and donated those Gold Star Pumpkins to finally complete the Quality Crops bundle. While I was there, I also checked out the other bundles I needed to complete to see what I needed. I need you to understand how momentous this was. I had extra Gold Star Pumpkins that I could turn into seeds. Oh, and on top of all of that excitement, the traveling cart had cauliflower and another fairy rose, so I can redeem myself for messing up getting those seeds earlier. Made those crops into seeds, put broccoli into my preserves jars, and named my new void chick Sap. The next day, I woke up to ancient fruit, and Lewis once again reminded me about the fair, which I will get to next year. Yeah, sorry, I keep y'all waiting with all this too much. I made more seeds and remembered that I had a rabbit's foot for the community center, so I took it there and donated it to the Enchanter's bundle, completing it and receiving 5 gold bars. I had a bunch of grapes, so I put them into the dehydrator to make raisins for the shipping collection. Today was a huge cranberry harvest, and I had wine and raisins ready in my shed. I filled my empty kegs with cranberries for that sweet wine money later. The fair started in town, but I'm still a low-key hermit. What can I say? I hate socializing in crowds, at least for now. I got a Gold Star Rabbit's Foot for my coop and put that straight into my gift chest. I got more fruit from the farm cave and moved the empty capsule to another part of the farm. Another huge harvest today, and my pickles were ready. I sold some honey and an amaranth for the shipping collection, as well as my first void egg from Sap, selling that as well. I had been replacing a lot of my field with fall seeds at this point, so I got a huge forage harvest. My tree farm blessed me with more oak resin, pine tar, and mushrooms. And now that winter is coming and I have sprinklers anyway, I put my watering can in for a gold upgrade at Clint's. My sweet gemberry was fully grown today because of that speed grow, so I harvested that and saved it for a certain statue later. Pam asked me for a battery pack in the mail, and the traveling cart had winter roots for sale, which I gladly took to turn into winter seeds for next season. I also crafted more wild seeds in my shed. And overnight, the crop fairy came and blessed my field. The next day, my gold watering can was ready, and so were my pickles. I got my first void mayo and replaced that mayo machine with another void egg. The tree farm had pine tar and maple syrup for me, and then I went to Clint's to pick up my new golden watering can, and put my pickaxe in for the next gold upgrade. After my normal crop routine, I went to the traveling cart, and she had a fried egg and a cauliflower, but I skipped the cauliflower this time and got the fried egg. I then took the fried egg to donate to the chef's bundle, leaving only the maki roll left to donate. And, quite infuriatingly, the pantry is only missing a green bean. That's how close I am to getting the greenhouse. My gold pickaxe was ready today, but I forgot about that, doing my normal chores, and I went to bed early. I'm pretty sure I was about to pass out in real life while finishing this, so that explains that. The next day was a pickles and wine day, and my pickaxe was still waiting at Clint's. I replanted my field with wheat as we get closer and closer to winter. And I then finally got my pickaxe from Clint and put my hoe in for a gold upgrade. After that, I foraged around town, accepted a request from Penny for a bream, and made more gold bars. I then went to Marnie's to find her, but of course she wasn't there. However, both her and Lewis were at Pierre's, and I was able to finish off the truffle oil and amaranth quests. Day 192 is just farm chores, so let's move on. My gold hoe was ready today, and while waiting until Clint's opened, I gathered oak resin and pine tar for my tree farm. I took my axe and gold bars to Clint's, trading out my hoe with my axe to upgrade that tool to gold. I had pickles ready today, and bought a spicy eel from the traveling cart lady. I also took my sweet gemberry to the secret woods to give to the Master Cannoli statue for my star drop. And here's a little reminder that I will need to buy one more rare seed for the shipping collection, as I have no way of getting a fully grown sweet gemberry from the traveling cart as of 1.6. Day 195 was yet another boring farm chores day, so let's get it moving. On this last day of the season, I gathered my last fall crop's harvest, saved up a lot of hay for my animals for the winter, and made my entire harvest into seeds for later. Speaking of last of the season, I went to the last traveling cart of fall and bought a rare coral, spicy eel, and refined quartz. That reminded me that, hey, I can make my own refined quartz, and I started smelting quartz in my shed. I gathered fruit from my farm cave and ended my second fall in Stardew Valley for this challenge. On the first day of winter this year, I had a good luck day. I definitely wanted to head to Skull Caverns, but I had some stuff to do first. Mostly animal chores, getting my axe from Clint, collecting my pickles and refined quartz, and crafting farm warp totems to get home faster. I even got the artisan achievement out of it. And now we can get ready for the caverns. Floor 1 had a ton of gold ore, Floor 7 had serpents swarming me, and I got the Monster Compendium book. I got a shaft on Floor 8 down to Floor 13. On Floor 17, I unfortunately ran out of food, so I warped home early to be safe, putting my stuff away in my shed. Wine was also ready, so I replaced the kegs with ancient fruit and peaches, selling my wine and animal products. As usual in winter, I always check the luck for the chance of a banger Skull Caverns dive, and today isn't that day. Neutral luck isn't terrible, but still not what I'm looking for. I set up my crop field with winter seeds, and then got to work chopping trees. I got some powder melon seeds from a seed spot, took the mine carts to the quarry to clear that out of goodies, including an iridium node. I rested in the hot springs partway through to regain energy, and talked to Linus in his adorable winter outfit. I then finished clearing out the quarry, getting a huge haul of minerals. I then went home, turning any winter roots I found into seeds, and went to bed. I started the next day by collecting the winter seeds I made yesterday and took care of my animals. I also started putting blackberries into my dehydrators for extra energy down the road. After that, I headed over to Robin's to upgrade my house, chatting with Maru and Demetrius while I was there. And while I was in the area, I foraged in the mountain lake. I then put my stuff away and went back to Robin's to get a workbench and a calendar. Once I was done with those errands, I planted powder melon seeds and made more winter seeds in my crop field. I checked out my new calendar and saw that Sebastian's birthday was coming up. And now, it's time for extra shed activities because I need to craft big chests to replace my small ones, as in any video game ever, I am a hoarder. I also smelted more iron bars were in the shed, crafting a cheese press and 2 more mayo machines for my barn and coop. I also crafted the farm computer for my shed, and finished moving stuff around in my chests. When I woke up on day 200, I saw Robin hard at work upgrading my home. My pickles and iron bars were ready in my shed, and I got an iridium quality rabbit's foot for my coop. I then headed out for more foraging around Cinder Sap, finding more mystery boxes and a fossil in an artifact spot. And as usual, it's deforestation time, also making sure to get the hardwood from the secret woods as well. I barely made it to Clint's and opened the mystery boxes I got, getting a mountain warp totem and 20 quality fertilizer. I then donated the fossil to the museum and went home and to bed. The wizard Rasmodius asked for an iridium bar in the mail, which I will eventually get to. But more importantly, it was traveling cart time, but she only had food, which I got anyway. I went home to make more coffee and a winter root I found on the way into seeds. I then gathered my Omni Geodes and took them to Clint's, getting more artifacts and other items. I was able to donate a few things to the museum, including sandstone, a fairy stone, and dolomite. On day 202, my house was finally upgraded, but it was also a bad luck day. I crafted a dedicated coffee keg for my house so I don't have to keep waiting for wine to be ready. I then headed to the Hat Mouse and bought the cool cap because I'm a cool guy. After that, I went back home and put more seeds out in my crop field. I then went into town and then to the beach to forage, also fishing by Willie's shop. Wanting some more fish variety, I also went to the mountain lake to fish, saying hi to Maru and Robin while over there. I got a level up in fishing and the Old Mariner achievement. After that, I took the mine carts to town to fish even more in the ocean. I went back home around midnight getting level 6 fishing. I grabbed my morning coffee from my keg and read Lewis's letter about the Festival of Ice. My shed had pickles ready, and I also took a nautilus shell to donate to the researchers bundle, which finished it off. I foraged on my way to the traveling cart, buying a starfruit and a tilapia. After that, I went into town to have Clint open my boxes, and geodes, getting 15 coffees, petrified slime, and mudstone. I donated what I could, including the shards of glass I got earlier. I sold a bunch of fish, put any ingredients I could into my new fridge as well. I took a frozen tear from my gift chest over to Robbins, hoping to give Sebastian a gift, but he was hidden away in his room. I did normal shed activities and animal chores, selling the goods and getting into bed. Willie sent me a letter telling me he had new rods at his shop, which I am definitely jumping on. My wine was ready, and after that was taken care of, I went to the mountain lake to fish. I caught my first sturgeon, donating it to the community center, and completed the lake fishing bundle. I then headed into town, giving Penny some coffee. After that, I fished in the ocean to catch squid for the aquatic overpopulation quest. I sold any fish and refilled my silo with hay for my animals. I then went on a crafting spree, crafting a rain totem, a worm bin, crab pots, and a recycling machine. I am truly in my winter fisherman era, it seems. I put my crab pops in my farm pond and popped the rain totem so I can catch a catfish tomorrow. I then went to the beach for more fishing and got a sea jelly. I finally caught a single squid at 11:40 p.m. and headed home soon after that. I woke up to rain today thanks to yesterday's rain totem. I harvested my powder melons and winter forage, and then went into town to fish for a catfish. I also went to check the bundles to see what other fish I still needed left for the fish tank bundles. After that, I headed over to the ocean first to fish, heading into Willie's shop. He told me about the ship in the back room of his shop that I will absolutely help him fix later. While there, I bought the iridium rod, some bait, and a sonar bobber. Back out on the fishing grind, I ate some trout soup for the fishing buff, and put the sonar bobber on my rod to know what fish I'm reeling in. I sold extra fish to Willie, bought some more stuff in his shop as well. I also ran into Sebastian on the beach and gave him a coffee. I went into town to fish in the river, and then went into the secret woods. I fished in the pond there, getting a lot of carp, and a wood skip for the specialty fish bundle, and then at 8 p.m. I finally got a catfish with a chest to boot. I ate more trout soup, and fished more in the lake at Cidersap Forest, fishing with another catfish on the line, catching it, and gaining a fishing level. I also finally caught a walleye and ran home, passing out on my farm. I got level 7 fishing overnight. The next day, I harvested more of my winter crops, also adding tending to my crab pots to my routine. Morris fined me 1,000 gold for passing out on my own property. That is so out of line, Morris. I don't even know how to respond. Oh well, at least it was time for pickles, and my usual shed activities. I also took my catches from yesterday to the community center, completing the river fish bundle, the crab pot bundle, and I donated the walleye to the night fish bundle, the wood skip to the specialty fish bundle, and completed the ocean fish bundle with a red snapper. After that, I foraged for more winter roots and seeds on my way home. I also added more crab pots I got as prizes from the community center to my pond. I then went over to Robbins because for some reason I keep wanting to see Sebastian. I wonder why that is. Maru knew it was up and blocked my way in there, but it was too late. I already gave him a void egg and a heart event with him. Once I got home, I sold my animal products and went to sleep. After doing my regular chores, I took my fishing rod to the mines on floor 20 to catch a ghost fish, which I got immediately. I left the mines and fished at the mountain lake because there was a chub frenzy. While in the area, I gave Linus a crystal fruit as a gift because I love Linus. I donated the ghost fish to the community center, and I was one fish closer to finishing the specialty fish bundle. Oh yeah, now that I finally have a kitchen in my house, I headed over to the saloon to buy recipes from Gus, including the most important one, triple shot espresso. I then went to Pierre's for some grocery shopping, getting cooking ingredients from him, and said hello to Elliot. I put my shopping away in my fridge, then grabbed an iridium duck feather from my gift chest and ran back to the Pierre's to give it to Elliot. I grabbed some seaweed from my chest to put in my fridge to make a maki roll. I then warped to the beach and started fishing, catching a tuna and a sardine, then heading back to grab my maki roll, donating that to the chef's bundle, which completed all of the bulletin board bundles. I then warped right back to the beach for more fishing, catching a squid with an absolutely loaded chest. I fished until 10:10 p.m., then using my farm warp totem to get back home. In my mailbox was a letter from Lewis congratulating me for completing the bulletin board bundles, which earned a lot of friendship with the people of Pelican Town. Sweet! I organized my massive fishing haul from yesterday in my shed, sold extra fish, and got oak resin and maple syrup from my tree farm. Traveling Cart Lady didn't have any crops for me today, but she did have an eel, a mining monthly, and some escargot. I read the mining monthly for some mining XP, and finally destroyed those meteors on my farm, getting tons of iridium ore and a prismatic shard. After that, I headed to the community center to donate the eel, finishing the night fishing bundle, and I put the glow ring I got as a prize in my second ring slot. Finally, I can see at night. I then went to Clint's for more geode and mystery box smashing, then taking the minecart directly to the bus stop to turn in my prismatic shard for a galaxy sword. I also brought a cactus fruit and a coconut with me, going back to my shed to start smelting iridium bars, and I went to bed soon after. I woke up on day 209 and made myself some bread and a triple shot espresso for breakfast, also getting the sashimi recipe in the mail from Linus. Willie also sent me a letter, requesting me to catch him a lingcod, but fishing is going to have to wait because it's a good luck day. While waiting for Pam at the bus stop, I did my usual farm chores, collecting 4 iridium bars, pickles, and aged roe from my shed. And honestly, I should have just checked the bus stop because Pam left up a sign saying we have to drive ourselves, and I could have been the desert already. Oh well. It'll still feel good to rip through monsters with my new galaxy sword. On floor 9, I was dangerously low on health without too much food left, so I left on floor 11, eating all of the cactus fruit I could outside the caverns to regain health. It wasn't even 1 PM yet, so I went back in and got a spicy eel from a serpent on floor 1, as well as a free bomb. Floor 3 gave me a farm warp totem and other minerals, along with crystal shoes. Floor 9 had a jade and a ton of ore nodes. Floor 10 had a shaft that took me to floor 13, and that floor had a bunch of slimes and serpents, but also a lot more ore. Down to floor 22, I got another shaft that got me to floor 27, which was a mummy floor, and I almost got swarmed, so I warped home. I got a letter in the mail telling me that the night market is coming tomorrow, which is another time of year I always look forward to in this challenge. After putting away my haul from Skull Caverns, I did my usual farm chores. It's also a regular traveling cart day, so I bought an amaranth from her and turned it back into seeds. I crafted a second crystallarium for my shed and put a ruby in that one for spicy eels from the desert trader. So now I have jades and rubies duplicating every day. I then took my stack of rubies, jades, and quartz to the desert trader for spicy eels, staircases, and bombs for my next caverns dives. I then foraged for cactus fruit and went into Sandy's oasis, but didn't buy anything because she mostly sells seeds. Back home, I made a dedicated chest for Skull Caverns dive supplies outside my home. I also took those cactus fruit and turned them into seeds with my seed maker. I then put the rest of my hay into my silo and mowed down grass on my farm so it's completely refilled. My farm cave had a lot of fruit for the picking, and my wine was ready, so I replaced those kegs with all the cave fruit I just got. I also put some raw animal products into my fridge for cooking recipes in the future. While waiting impatiently for the night market to open, I did my usual farm chores. I also took some time to clear out the quarry for those materials forged by the mountain lake and gave Linus a gift. I also accepted a request from Clint for an amethyst. I then chopped down trees and cinder sap until the night market opened. I talked to everyone at the market and went straight to the traveling boat, but there wasn't anything good tonight. I of course grabbed my free coffee and went into the submarine, but I was stupid and forgot my fishing rod, so I warped out of it. I tried to get back in after I returned, but it was locked. Lesson learned. Always bring your fishing rod to the night market. The next day after my normal chores, I went to Marnie's to get some hay and a new cow I named Willow. I fished in cinder sap until the night market opened, mostly to guarantee that I had my rod with me. And this traveling boat is why I always look forward to the night market. She had tons of crops, and I bought all of them. And now for real, I'm going to catch submarine fish. I caught a midnight squid, a super cucumber, a spookfish, and called it a night at midnight. I woke up the next day to harvest my crops and my crab pots, then organized stuff in my shed. I made all the crops I bought last night at the night market into seeds. I checked the calendar and it's the last day of the night market, and the wizard's birthday. I went to Clint's and opened my boxes and geodes, getting 10 mixed seeds, esperite, an ancient drum, coal, iron ore, fire quartz, clay, iridium ore, and basalt. I donated a bunch of stuff to the museum, getting a drum block as a reward. I also accepted the prismatic jelly quest from the wizard. I then went to the saloon and bought coffee and crispy bass, went home, and turned my purchased coffee into a ton of triple shot espressos. And it's once again time for the night market, and the traveling cart lady delivered. She had a beet, red cabbage, and the green bean. Let's go! I can finally get the greenhouse. I also got a combat quarterly to round out my purchases. Back in the submarine, I fished more and caught my first blobfish. I said hi to Elliot and gave him some espresso, and then went back home to turn my new crops into seeds, as well as smelting more bars. I moved all my spring seeds into my second chest to be ready for the change in season. After all of my hard work donating stuff to the museum, Gunther came to my door and gave me the rusty key to the sewers. I also got my secret friend for the Feast of the Winter Star, Gus. I ran over to unlock the sewer, then going back home to grab my tools and some iridium quality void eggs. I said hello to Krobus, and made a huge mistake. I got so excited to see that Krobus sells mix seeds, I forgot that I had to buy them with gold. I bought 10 of them in my excitement, but don't worry, I will deal with this issue in the next video. I know, I didn't realize right away, but this is exactly why I can't upgrade my trash can. I'll have to throw those out later. But in better news, I got the Star Grop, and gave Krobus one of those void eggs as a present. The community center is so close to being finished, I just need a pufferfish and a green bean, but that'll come up soon. I headed home, got fruit from my farm cave, and then went to the quarry for some more materials, and also got more mix seeds from dig spots. I found Sebastian at the train tracks and said hello. The next day was a bad luck day, but I deserve one of those after my blunder yesterday. Gus asked for a coconut in the mail for his Coco No-Nos, which I will absolutely get for him. It is traveling cart day, but I found the days after the night market are usually disappointing. She had no crops, but at least I got a blue armchair. I grabbed a coconut from my chest and gave one to Gus for his request. After that, I went to the mines to work on the prismatic jelly quest, starting on floor 15 for the amount of slimes and the chance for fiber and mix seeds. I got an infested floor on 18, but still no prismatic slime. I somehow didn't notice yesterday, but I got an ancient seed artifact last night during my mines dive and immediately turned it into a plantable seed. My pickles and aged roe were ready in my shed, which I replaced the jars with hot peppers. I filled in even more of my field with winter seeds and powder melons, then went foraging for more winter roots and seeds. After that, I went to fish in the mountain lake, then to the quarry for dig spots. I made more winter seeds and finished filling my first field. I also got a mystery wallpaper from a mystery box and other things for some geodes. I put the mystery wallpaper in my shed, sold stuff, and went to sleep. My wine was ready on day 217, and I also crafted a second recycling machine for my crab pot trash. I moved my machines in my shed and reorganized them. I also made some coffee with my empty kegs, checked the traveling cart who had nothing good, and called it a day. The next day, I filled my kegs with pumpkins and cranberries, made trash into items with my recycling machines, and called it another early day. Day 219 was a good luck day, and I had a huge harvest of powder melons and winter forage. I crafted more winter seeds, got hot pepper jelly, and put radishes into my preserves jars. I then went to Cindersap to forage, did my animal chores, and went to bed. The next day, Demetrius gave me a Nautilus shell in the mail, which is a little late, but I still appreciate the gesture. More importantly, tomorrow is the Feast of the Winter Star. I did my regular farm chores, checked the TV, and learned the coleslaw recipe from the Queen of Sauce, but the luck was so bad, and I went to bed. Once again, today was unlucky. I did all my chores until it was time for the Feast of the Winter Star. I took an iridium quality rabbit's foot for Gus's gift, and brought a few things from Pierre's stand, and gave Gus his gift. Pierre was my gift giver, and he gave me a glow ring. Thanks, I guess. I said hi to Elliot and Leah, and headed back home. I woke up the next day to find Gus at my door, saying he considers me a good friend, giving me a free mini jukebox and the recipe to craft more. I am so humbled and grateful. Thank you, Gus, you magnificent man. My shed had pumpkin juice and pickled radishes ready for me. I put the jukebox in my house and rearranged the furniture a bit. And it's time for the penultimate traveling cart of the year, and she had some bok choy, which I took. On day 223, while tending to my crab pots, I got a level up in fishing. Very nice. I harvested my crops, and crafted more winter seeds, putting my powder melons into my crops chest in my shed. I got level 8 fishing overnight. It's the last day of the year, and I feel like a lot of things got accomplished. Linus sent me sashimi in the mail, I did my usual farm chores, and put more hay in my silo. It's the last traveling cart of the year, and she had tomato, corn, a dish of the sea, a survival burger, and a battery pack. Definitely going out with a bang this year. I foraged for snow yams and winter roots and citrus sap, crafting more winter seeds to help my field stay more tidy for spring. I made my traveling cart purchases into seeds, and speaking of seeds, I still didn't remember about the mixed seeds I bought from Krobus, but that will happen in year 3. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a lot of fun making these longer videos with the script. A lot more work than my usual content, so I'm glad the first video got so much support. It would mean a lot to me if you'd leave a like if you enjoyed the video and comment down below your favorite non-marriageable candidate. Mine is a tie between Linus and Gus, but man, once again, I would love if Gus was romanceable in the base game. Maybe one day I'll figure out mods in Stardew for future playthroughs, as I do have the PC version too. Have a good night, day, whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you in year 3 of the No Buying Seeds challenge.